Building Changes helps communities across the state of Washington make progress in the fight against homelessness. Instead of fixating on problems, Building Changes focuses on solutions, working in tandem with government, nonprofits, and philanthropy.
The Diversion Centralized Fund is a concept that takes diversion funding out of a traditional program approach and puts it into the community so that any provider who's been trained in diversion, who's working with someone who can identify a diversion solution, can access this money at any time if that's what they need to end their experience of homelessness. The diversion approach and the centralized fund help families because they're in charge of their solution. They are the driving force in how they end their experience of homelessness. We also see that it can end people's homelessness much quicker than it could if we were relying on the traditional system to respond. And so people have less trauma, they get connected to housing more quickly, and it's just all around a better solution.
Addressing racial equity is important in this work because we know that families of color, youth of color, and students of color are overrepresented among those experiencing homelessness in our communities. Because of that, Building Changes is committed to helping grantees see what they can do and what they need to do in order to create a homeless and housing system that's free of racial bias and equitable for everyone. What excites me about this work is having the opportunity to go into communities across the state that have historically not had access to these kinds of services.
The Pierce County Pathways Project gives us a new way of looking at the data that paints a picture of how a family moves through the homeless system, from the moment they enter it to when they exit. The value of this project and our work with King, Pierce, and Snohomish counties is that we've empowered them to utilize their data and act on it in real time, which other communities aren't able to do currently. I believe that the Pierce County Pathway Project will inform system practices and policies in a way that'll lead to more families who are currently experiencing homelessness to become housed.
We recently released a data analysis and found that students experiencing homelessness have academic outcomes well below those of their stably housed peers. To address this gap in the research, Schoolhouse Washington is conducting a two-part study. In the first part, we built a statistical model to identify schools across the state where students experiencing homelessness are beating the odds with better than average outcomes. In the second part, we will be talking to those schools to identify the specific practices and strategies they are using that are linked to better student outcomes. Through this project, we'll be able to elevate those voices to not only show the good work going on, but to ensure that good work continues in the future.
The purpose of this project is to identify the impact and barriers on students of color experiencing homelessness. 6 out of 10 students experiencing homelessness in the state of Washington are students of color. We conducted one-on-one interviews in Seattle and South King County with students and families experiencing homelessness. We asked questions around identification with the McKinney-Vento program and their experiences navigating the education system. We are hoping to identify and develop practices, policy, and strategies to help identify academic barriers for students of color experiencing homelessness.
We are seeing a true commitment and real progress among our grantees in identifying and eliminating racism in the homeless system.
We're able to both learn more about the person's strengths, their network, how they might be able to solve this experience of homelessness, and we're also able to give them some financial assistance to pay for it and to actually finish it.
I think as service providers, it's important to understand the populations and their needs and how they're interacting with the system.
These are just a few of the many projects that Building Changes works on every day to advance solutions to family, youth, and student homelessness. By supporting solutions, you really can promote progress.